Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We have a very exciting webinar / panel discussion here today. First things first, we would love to know where you're tuning in from, so let us know in the chat. I am here in Denver, so it is early for me. But yeah, would love to know where everyone else is who is listening to this webinar. I'm also very curious why you're tuning in. So if you are an author at CodeCanyon or ThemeForest, let us know. Or if you're just a concerned Envato customer, let us know. So we'd just love to know a little bit about who's joining us today. That'll help us help the panelists give the best answers to who's in attendance. So yes, we'd love to know a little bit more about you, and we will watch those comments as they come in. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about Shutterstock and Shutterstock's acquisition of Envato. That is the parent company for CodeCanyon and ThemeForest. And we're going to talk about all the different options, whether they're going to do this or whether they're going to do that, and what does the future hold. And we have a couple different possible futures outlined. And I'm going to give a brief summary of this acquisition and what it means. But before I get into all of that, let me go ahead and introduce the panel. So first up is James. James is the co-founder, Future of Team. He's also a tech blogger, speaker, business leader, marketer, and entrepreneur, and has been active in the WordPress ecosystem for over 15 years. And he was also the author engagement lead working at Envato for almost 5 years. Hey, James.
Hello.
All right. Next up, we have Vova. After exiting his first startup to a Fortune 500 company in 2013, Vova turned his SaaS project into a successful business. This led to the creation of Freemius, a platform that helps software makers become entrepreneurs without all of those operational hassles. Hey, Vova.
Pumped to be here. Great to see everyone.
Love it. We also have Constantine. He is the CMO of Boxalo Limited, which owns 4 Envato Power Elite Counts, ThemeRex, Ancora Themes, Axiom Themes, and CMS Masters. I like that you're repping with the t-shirt there. So this is a design and development agency that is one of the leading theme shops on ThemeForest with over 420,000 sales and 650 active WordPress themes on the marketplace. And how's it going?
It's going fine. Happy
Awesome.
to be here. Hello to everyone.
Awesome. And last up, we have Zafer. He is the founder of Mailster, a WordPress newsletter plugin with 25,000 active installs. And over a year ago, he started selling his plugin with Freemius due to some declining sales in CodeCanyon and frustrations over Envato's lack of subscription model. I'm sure we'll come back to that. Welcome, Zafer.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So this is the awesome panel will be joining us today. We will, I have all sorts of awesome questions planned for this whole panel. But before we get into the panel, let me just give a brief introduction to this topic, just so everyone has the same set of starting facts. So it'll make the panel discussion go a little bit better. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is our agenda for today. This is really the first 4 are the introduction, and then we'll jump into that expert panel. So first up, what is Shutterstock? Let me go ahead and click next here. So Shutterstock is an American provider of stock photography, stock footage, stock music, and editing tools, according to Wikipedia. That makes a lot of sense. Many people in the States, at least, are pretty familiar with this brand. They have been a public company since 2012, and they have acquired companies in the past, although of note, none of them have been like web or coding companies. So this is something new for them, at least in that regard. Now, this is John Oringer, and I will skip forward here, and you will see that he is directly involved with Shutterstock, so the executive chairman of the company there. And he described on Twitter what he is, basically the features of the deal, why they're making this deal and selling it to their investors. So they talk here about Envato Elements. That is the subscription service that lets people have download all sorts of creative assets like stock photos. So they talked about the Envato Elements. They talked about 650 subscribers. And then they, of course, talked about the timeline there. So far, what they're talking about is Envato Elements and the subscription service. Now, what's cool about Shutterstock is they are a public company. And what's great about public companies is you can see all of their investor documents. So you can go to investor.shutterstock.com and pull up this exact document that I'm going to reference here. And let's take a quick look at what they're saying about this acquisition. I think that's the best place to start is what is Shutterstock saying about this? And then we'll kind of take it a little bit further with what we think that means. Okay. So the first thing here is they mentioned that this is an attractive purchase price. Now, Envato's annual revenue is $343 million, and the purchase price is $245 million. Now, that is, I guess the best way to say that is an attractive purchase price. But I think if you look at tech acquisitions, if you're a student of the market, if you think about this stuff, they're selling for a lot less than what you make in a year. Like it's pretty unusual. Imagine if I just have made up business XYZ and I sell made up business XYZ for $100, but by the end of the year, but my annual revenue is $150. Like it's weird to sell for less than what you'd make in a year. There's multiples on tech startups, and this is it's surprising that it's so cheap. So that suggests that there might be something going on at Envato. Maybe maybe that was last year's revenue. This year's revenue is much lower for some reason, or maybe there's some problems with the operations, or their advertising costs are going through the roof, and they don't see how to fix it. Whatever, something is going on here to acquire an expensive business that makes this much money for such a low price. So, they also mentioned, of course, Envato elements. They didn't mention ThemeForest. They didn't mention CodeCanyon, and they aren't really mentioning, code in general or themes or software sales. They're focusing on Envato Elements. That is that subscription service that lets people download those creative assets. So if I can try to summarize this, they are acquiring, everything that they've put out, both in their Twitter posts and in their investor materials, is about Envato for Elements. ThemeForest and CodeCanyon also don't have a subscription service. It doesn't tie into that Envato Elements. So it does seem like they just have a different business model and possibly a liability. Now, when did this happen? Yesterday, July 22nd. If you're watching this in the future time, is when this happened. So this is done. This is no longer theoretical. This has happened. And then let's talk about a couple outcomes here. I think I have two more slides. They could invest. They could invest in CodeCanyon and ThemeForest and try to, let's say, expand their business and do something new and different and have different business models. That's an option. They could sell it they could keep the subscription part of the company and then sell CodeCanyon and ThemeForest to a different company. Now, these bottom two are probably less good if you're an author. They could close. That's definitely bad. CodeCanyon and ThemeForest. And then what I would say, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't give ThemeForest and CodeCanyon resources and they just sort of let it coast for a year, 2 years, for a while, possibly until it dies, or possibly until they need to invest money in it. So it's possible it just sort of stays stagnant and or dies. So those are kind of the four options here. Obviously, the top two are really good for you for an author, and the bottom two, not as good. So we will get into all those. But before that, what options do the authors have? Really, it's, do you want to stay till the end? That's always an option. It could turn out really good. You can migrate to a different marketplace. There's Template Monster, Creative Market, etc. You can start selling on your own site. I'm always an advocate for owning your own business. And of course, you can also go non-exclusive on CodeCanyon, ThemeForest, and sell on your own site on some other marketplace. So there are a couple different options that authors have. And now I think this brings us to the panel. First of all, welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
All right. So I want to start this conversation with James here. So you used to work at Envato as the author engagement lead. You were there for 5 years. I guess you have a little bit of behind the scenes information. Given the quick sale of the company at that reduced price, do you have any theories or can you read the tea leaves about what's happening at Envato and what they're thinking about?
Absolutely. I think this is definitely a sign of leadership burnout. Looking at what's been happening over the last number of years at Envato, obviously I still have a number of colleagues that I know who still work there. And what I'm being told is that the ownership group, which has steadily been moving out of Envato even before this acquisition, all the way back to 2018, 2017, is that, Collis, the former owner now, I guess, was just burned out. He was done. His family was ready to move on, and the quicker they could get out, the better. So I think that's probably the big thing for the reason of the sale and for that price.
It's interesting to me that burnout's the answer, because part of me is
Mhm.
like, I can at least going another 6 months to get another 100 million or something, right? You think for another 100 million or 200 million you could go another 6 months to find the right purchase price. So it's really interesting.
I think though, when on the surface, yes, like even as far back as just a couple years ago, it had a valuation within at least the Australian business world of $1 billion. And so when you're starting with that kind of valuation for a private company, that's a good place to start. When you look at the actual numbers and the volatility of creative assets, dealing with
Mm,
authors, dealing with creators, that kind of thing, um, it's a very precarious market, and it always has been. They've
mm.
always been very close to one thing disrupting the entire ecosystem and losing everything that they have. So I think when you also take into consideration the war between Russia and Ukraine, and that a large number of their coding on creative authors are based in Russia and Ukraine. You
Ah,
have geopolitical issues that are coming up as well. So there's a lot of challenges there that I think have probably helped to bring that price down. And so that risk is part of what you're seeing there as well.
got it. Insightful. Let me go to someone else. So, Konstantin, you've been selling on ThemeForest for over 10 years. You've witnessed the highs, the lows. You've been there a long time. I guess I'd love to hear your perspective on ThemeForest, and maybe how does it tie into why they might want to sell it.
Well, as for why they don't keep us in the loop,
Mm,
that was always a problem probably with Envato, and James knows a lot about that because he has been speaking to me about things inside of Envato all the time when he was working there, and never given all the answers. And that's how it is right now. I mean, we speak to different people from Envato, but they never give us all the information. So basically, we don't know why. We just know the consequences, some kind of future plans. I mean, bits of it, bits of their information, but we never know why, the
mm,
real reasons behind it. As for the sales, and you've implied that things have gone a bit not so good as they were before. I think we can confirm that. I mean, not us personally, but in general, because we follow how all the market is going on, and there were always highs and lows. I mean, during this period that we have been selling there on ThemeForest, but I could not say that now is probably the worst period. No, it's pretty much okay, not that different from how it
mm,
was last year. But I think that's not what you expect from the market that wants to develop. I mean, every author wants to earn more, especially the authors that actually do something, like us, for example. I mean, we release like 10, 15 WordPress themes per month. So we kind of generally expect to have more revenue than the last year, not just stagnate, not just have the same revenue. Yeah, so things like that.
got it. Now you have a really extensive portfolio on ThemeForest. Do you have any? I guess, how do you see it affecting your business? Do you have any plans on? Are you going to double down on ThemeForest? Are you the ride till you die? That was one of the options we gave out in one of the slides. Type person.
Well, right now, I personally and we personally, like as a company, see different approaches that we can make. Like, first one, yeah, it could be like be there till it dies. And if everyone else starts to leave, maybe this is going to be profitable for us. Uh, okay, but from realistic perspectives, especially if it goes to subscription model, I mean, like the whole Team Forest, like Shutterstock likes it, then it's going to be questionable. But yeah, you've listed it all in the beginning. I think for us, the preferable way would be to go non-exclusive, see other options, organize our own marketplace. Like, I don't know if it's going to be just us. I mean, we have the power We not only have the WordPress themes, we also have template kits, the XD files, the PSD files, and things like that. Like we can run our sort of elements and, the, as it was called before, WordPress clubs, like when you just join and you can choose any theme, a whole bunch of them. Yeah, basically. Or it could be a marketplace with someone else, like with a group of authors or something like that. All options are open. Right now, it's really hard to say because we don't have much information. Like you just said, it happened only yesterday, and I really hope that Shutterstock and Envato will get all the biggest players from ThemeForest, or like all the biggest players everywhere, like CodeCanyon, ThemeForest, Elements, together and say something like, hey, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. And I really hope that this webinar that you organized, I really wanted to thank you guys for this, that's going to serve us in terms of being heard. Like someone from Envato and someone from Shutterstock would take time and really listen to what we think and really listen to what we kind of project ourselves. And hopefully this will happen. I personally will send a link to Envato.
There we go. Well, I guess this is the honeymoon phase of the acquisition. It's brand new, so so maybe they will be very caring and listen to all of our concerns. Let me go to a different person here, and then we'll open it up just sort of to more general back and forth conversation. But Safir, you were with CodeCanyon, and then eventually you decided to move to a non-exclusive selling model on your own. What just to get into the mind space, what made you move from exclusive to non-exclusive selling on CodeCanyon?
It was mostly the lack of sales and therefore the income of my plugin, and I definitely saw a downward trend starting in 2022. So when basically the pandemic was over, and I can not only prove it with the sales, I can also prove it with the page views, the unique page views I got on my item page, which steadily decline. If I can show you the slide, I've prepared a slide. If you can show it, and yeah, that's my page view for my plugin on CodeCanyon, measured on every January. For individual years, and you can definitely see a downward trend. So, and this is what all the authors on the marketplace experience in some sort of way or other. There's a forum post online which is still active, which claims a 70% drop in sales. And they have some proof of numbers with the Wayback Machine. They use this kind of metrics to prove the downward trends, and I can only confirm this trend. And it started in 2022 when I can show you my sales, my overall sales during the beginning. I started in 2011 and I published my plugin in 2012. And in 2022, or 2021 already, it started this downward trend. And there, where I have to decide to do something else. And this is where I decided basically to go non-exclusive. And I haven't decided where I go at this point. But yeah, this is how it went for me.
And I see you started Freemius there, so that actually is a nice transition over here to the next person.
Yeah.
So Vova, you launched Freemius years back, and if I remember correctly, you did research on CodeCanyon and ThemeForest back in 2016. So based on, I mean, you were doing research on these people 8 years ago. How with that historical mindset, what does that make you think about with this acquisition, and what do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, I have many thoughts. So I've been following Envato for like 10 years because they are in our competitive landscape, a marketplace. It was always something that with Freemius planned to get to at the right time, but we also didn't want to, fight a giant. And Envato is a giant compared to anyone else. So I think I would just want to mention something that Konstantin said, that he feels that right now like sales are similar to like last year, and there was like worse years. So when I did the analysis of Envato, it was like close to their peak, I think. And a year after, they made some meaningful changes to their sorting of the search. And what they've done, they basically moved their like top selling items to the top, which created this. It was great for the top sellers. It was great for Envato, but it wasn't great for everyone else. So I think if you are like a top seller, you are likely not yet seeing any impact from that, and it will take some time until you feel the ricochets out of it. But over the years, clearly, Xafer presented that, and I'm in contact with many authors from the marketplace. So if you're not like one of the top, then you saw a downtrend happening over the years. So can you remind me the question, because I got off?
Yeah, yeah, but essentially, based on the research you did, what do you? I guess what do you think they're going to do? Is sort of the question based on the research you did in 2016. So thinking of those four options, are they going to double down? Like, part of me goes, hey, they only sell stock photography, and there's this new AI thing coming out that can make images for free. Maybe people don't need this. Maybe they want to start a software business, and this is the pinky toe step into selling software. But of course, they didn't mention any of that in their investor docs. But that could happen, or of course, they could not invest in it and sell it, or sell it to someone else. But just that, with that historical mindset, do you have any thoughts on where they're going in the next 3 to 5 years?
So here's my observation, right? One of the most common requests that was coming from authors was lack of subscriptions. And there was a period that Envato actually assigned some extra resources to try to address concerns coming from the ecosystem. Some of them were addressed, like allowing authors to set up their prices, etc. But at a certain point, it was clear that those resources were terminated. And from discussions with some people that work in Envato, they actually, cut down additional resources from WordPress. I personally had a conversation with Hisham, the new CEO, around 2 years ago. We were exploring some potential collaboration, and he bluntly told me that WordPress is no longer their focus, and they're focusing more on the creators economy, because it's much bigger. There are many more YouTubers and TikTokers than websites that are building neat themes, etc. Also, page builders became a thing, so it also hurt the ecosystem. Combining that with the public information that Envato is being acquired because of Elements, like all the sales that happen on the marketplace are liability, because those are updates that needs to be served to I don't know how many millions of legacy customers that are not making them any money right now. Yes, there are the new sales that are coming, but everything that happened up until the acquisition, those buyers from CodeCanyon and ThemeForest are kind of a liability. They're generating support requests, etc. Usually what happens when acquisitions happening is that you double down on what is working and what was the purpose of the acquisition. So I don't think they're going to shake the boat right away. It will probably take some time. But my prediction is that in a year, maybe a little more, they will start to, everything that will be painful to them, like suddenly there will be some technical issue in those marketplaces that will be, oh shit, we need to allocate resources to this right now, but this is not our main strategy. Instead of fixing that, let's maybe close that component, or so I think they will slowly, based on how much pain it brings to their business, they will kind of get rid of those things. Maybe they will just, I don't know, keep a very limited marketplace for the top sellers. I don't know. Maybe that's also an option. Kind of focus on very limited, small, and kind of verified inventory and get rid of everything else. But in the end, it's like pretty clear that
Yeah.
Shutterstock is there from 2000 whatever, and code is not their thing. It's not
Right.
in part of their model. They don't have the teams. They don't have the resources. It doesn't bring them subscriptions, that's their focus.
Yep.
So in my opinion, they will starve it. This is what's going to happen.
And again, I've had an experience with an acquisition, and I've seen where they just don't invest in the. They invested in the one part of the company they bought it for, and they didn't invest in the rest. So that to me also seems likely. Okay, so let me ask a question to the panel now. If I was an author on ThemeForest or CodeCanyon, I think my number is should I be worried or concerned, and if so, what should I do about it? Like, I think that's ultimately why people are probably watching this. So, like, I guess maybe how worried should I be, and then what should I do about it? And I'll leave this one open. Whoever wants to grab it.
I'll take it, at least for the start. Like, one thing, not to defend Envato, but to say, well, you'll know what I mean. Like, for years now, Envato hasn't done much for ThemeForest at all. Like, it's been an ongoing discussion back and forth between me and like Envato, like, hey, do something about this, do something about this, change the rules for the search, change the rules for the at least the appearance of the website and things like that, and it hasn't been done. So basically, like, Shutterstock is going to acquire Envato now, and will care mostly about elements and will not care about ThemeForest. We're not going to see that. I mean, we're not going to see the difference because they haven't cared about ThemeForest for some while now. So basically, nothing's going to change for us in these terms. And basically, if everything's going to be just like it was before, then it's going to be fine for us. But for all the concerned authors, of course, you have to be concerned. I mean, even if you have your own business, you have to be concerned. And if your business relies and depends on a marketplace, you have to be concerned even more. I always quote Carol on this, this quote that if you want to, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place, yes. And if you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast. And I think for marketplace, when you're part of the marketplace, it has to be 2.5 times or 3 times faster than everyone else.
Just thinking about this, if we pull back a little bit and we take a look at what's going on, Zafir's slide and his data is, I think, particularly interesting because that's actually the model of just general business, that bell curve you see where his numbers sort of go up and then they stagnate and then they start to come down. That is very much the story of Envato Market. If you look at what Zafir's done to try to fix that by joining Freemius, he's created a second number there, a second line that's starting to go up as well. And that's the story of Envato Market and Envato Elements, why we have both of those and why we've experienced some of these challenges for code and other asset authors. If you are an author right now on CodeCanyon or ThemeForest, I will tell you what I've always told you, which is that the most important thing you can do as an author is to own your own audience. Do everything you can to make sure that the people that are buying your products are people you know. That's a challenge with Envato Market because they technically own the customer. So when somebody buys your product through Envato, all of that customer data goes to Envato. It does not go to you. And so as you're looking at this and all of the trends, I agree with everything Constantine said, that ThemeForest and CodeCanyon have not been a priority for years. But if you are on those marketplaces now, regardless of how big or small you are, number one, don't be afraid of going non-exclusive. That's the most powerful thing that you can do. Is to look at other opportunities to own your audience. And number two would be to really look at some of those fears you may have had early on about being on the marketplace, the licensing, all of those kinds of challenges that have existed, and ask yourself really seriously, are they really a challenge? Are they really as big a deal as maybe I've made them out to be or our team's made them out to be? And are we now at a place where we need to reevaluate those things and take a look? If you are a CodeCanyon author, if you're a ThemeForest author, be very worried. Acquisitions change the game. The emotional connection that everyone at Envato has had up until now with ThemeForest, its biggest market, its biggest group of sales and revenue generator for many years, is no longer the case. Now, Envato makes up what, 15% of revenue for Shutterstock, and of that, Elements is the big one. So, what does that leave for ThemeForest and CodeCanyon? Maybe 5%, 7%. And so if you're representing such a small amount of the overall picture, you should be concerned, right? That is an easy one to flick off, right? And say, we're not going to worry about that anymore. We'd rather take the hit of losing that revenue and focus on AI or focus on something else than to get involved or fix ThemeForest and CodeCanyon.
Yeah, I have something to add to James. If you are selling on the marketplace, you should have a plan B right now. So implement something that makes it easy for you to switch to a different solution, doesn't matter what. Just prepare your themes, your plugins to make the switch easier. Also, regarding owning your audience, make sure that you collect the email addresses of your buyers somehow. Maybe add a registration process when you activate your theme, your plugin. I did this in 2016, and I can't regret it. It was one of the best decisions I made for my plugin. Because I have now all the customer data, and I can directly connect to them. I can talk to them. I can send them emails and talk about promotions and stuff. Anyway, you have to prepare for the worst part of the marketplace, and I personally think it will just stay there because it's so big. It cannot. It's not too big to fail, but it will just starve to death, basically. So they will maybe get the much money out of it as long as it gets. But as Konstantin already said, there's no much effort in the marketplace, and no updates at all, and it's all focused on the bestsellers anymore. Still, so I was lucky. I'm still lucky. I had a bestseller there in my category. So my decline was a little bit postponed, basically, but it's still a thing. So if you have a big company and a big best-selling themes, you may are good to go for a while now. But if you do it just as a side hustle, you may also can stay there because it's not worth the hassle, maybe. But also the hassle is not big, as James said. It's not that kind of a problem.
It is incredible just thinking. I mean, just thinking about technology, and having been in WordPress for quite a while, this would have been so much work. I remember buying a page builder from Envato probably like 10 years ago, and I'm sure back then it would have been massive to set up my own marketplace or my own brand and sell it myself. But nowadays, it's just so almost trivial for people who do this stuff. So I guess, Safar, let me ask one follow-up question here, because I'm curious on, because when you go from so you're dusting off your resume, you're dusting it off, not a resume, but your backup business plan just in case the marketplace doesn't get sold or something. You go non-exclusive. How does that affect your bottom line? Like, if we can get into some of the numbers, like what numbers, like how many sales do you need to make up on your own site when you go to non-exclusive? Can you give us any insights into that type of math?
Yeah, sure. I opted out over a year ago. It was in March 2023. And it was because of the decline of sales. And I talked to Wover back then, and I tried other platforms like Paddle and Lemon Squeeze, and I even built integration for them. but then I get back to Freemius, and I have some slides prepared. Which can you show my slide? So this is my the sales over time on Envato, where you see the downward trend, and in 2023 I shifted away from the marketplace, going non-exclusive, and I have another one when these are the time when I was on the one and it was non-exclusive. And you can see I started in March, and it instantly crosses the sales amount of from the marketplace. So it was in that month. Oh, okay, it was in April, but it was just in the very first months. Maybe because I was a bestseller on the marketplace, and I haven't do much of marketing. So, and I still got a lot of traffic from the marketplace, and also buyers don't care that much if they choose a subscription model or the one fee on the marketplace. If you have a good product, they just buy it and use it. And yeah, that's the graph you can see until June of this year, and it's constantly growing. And you can see that in the when I see the trend lines, they all go up on my new platform, which is Freemius, and the downward trends continue on the marketplace.
I guess my question is, so when you go from exclusive to non-exclusive, you lose a % of commission, right?
Yes.
Yes. I guess so. That to me is the math part of it. Is, if I'm making 1,000 sales a month on Envato and then I lose this commission, how many sales? Did you worry about that, or was it just I have to do this anyways?
Yes, I have to do it anyways, but I didn't worry that much. I just pumped up my price on the marketplace to a really high amount so that I still get my share. And I often wonder why people still buy on the marketplace, because I really drive them to my own site now. But some people tend to, I know the marketplace, I know how it works, and I know it's safe. It's only a one-time fee, and it's still a one-time fee. You have to comply with their terms, of course. So you still get this one-time fee on the marketplace, but it's much more expensive. And now with this change, I can have multiple plans. I have a subscription model now, and so in the end, it was a no-brainer. It was a long effort, and it took a lot of time to do the conversion and also prepare my plugin for it. But now it's totally worth it, and I'm happy that I did it a year ago or even more.
Yeah,
I think the real maths too to look at are, you're dropping from a total of 70%, which is the maximum you can get from your sales.
No, I actually had about 82 because there was this weird calculation they had. And in my case, because I had a WordPress plugin, which was only $5 of buyer's fee and some other weird calculation, I came to 82%. So just
there you go. So you're 82%. And you're going from 82% to a maximum of 50%. That's the non-exclusive. So that 30% drop is made up by gaining 100% of every single sale that you make on your own site. And if you've been doing what Zaffer did, which is collecting, building your own audience, grabbing as much detail as you can about them, even starting now, you don't have to, start in 2016 to win. If you're doing it now or start today, you can still build that cushion for you to be able to make that transition. But I think that's the real mass that you're seeing there as well for Zaffer, is he's now gaining 100% of every sale. The fact that he raised prices on Envato Market, I think is brilliant, right? Because it's exactly what he did. He just compensated for that 50% or 30% loss by raising his prices to compensate for it, and people will still buy. A brilliant way to go about doing it. And I think that that's something to consider for authors as well.
Love that. Agreed. I guess, go ahead. Vova, I was actually going to bring you in. Go ahead and add something first.
Yeah. So I think what is critical to do for those who maybe are not doing that yet is to ensure that you drive traffic to your website. Even if the sales are still happening on Envato, like you want traffic to your website, because if suddenly Envato disappears and you don't have the traffic, you are vanished. right? There are no subscriptions. There is nothing there. So I think it's a combo of driving traffic and the benefit of going non-exclusive and starting to build that subscription base. So in case something bad happens, you have that extra cushion. And what Xafer, described with price increase, it's something pretty common that we're seeing for makers that are moving to Freemius and staying non-exclusive on Envato, and usually it is not really impacting sales. So it takes some time until the marketplace, whatever the algorithms, everything there is adjusted to that. And I would even say that maybe now it's the best opportunity to go non-exclusive. I don't know how exactly it works behind the scenes, and this is kind of off protocol, even though we're live. But acquisition, there's a lot of mess happening. So maybe you can fall under the radar, go non-exclusive, and nothing will happen. So you didn't hear that from me, but you hear that here. So just want to say that. Yeah, I'm back to you, Patrick.
Yeah, appreciate that, and I'm appreciate that insight. I was definitely gonna. So obviously, you made Freemius, and I think it's worth talking about. I've always been a proponent of owning your own, building your business on land you own, as opposed to renting land, which I feel like is a marketplace. I guess, Vova, have you seen an influx of people coming to Freemius? Maybe that's the best way to start. Have people reached out to you about this acquisition and they're worried and they want to set up Freemius so they can sell it through their plugin and upgrade people?
There is definitely higher demand right now.
Cool. I guess let me ask this quickly. What are the things that people need to think about leaving ThemeForest? It's support, it's upgrades, it's payments, it's things that I feel like, again, 10 years ago would have been really complex and now are included in something like Freemius.
I think that the main premise of a marketplace, in addition to all the technicalities, which is like the billing, licensing, and all this stuff, is ensuring that you get traffic and sales. And what we've seen happen, what I observed happening over the years, that premise kind of disappeared from the marketplace. It only went, the traffic and the ads and the promotions only went to the top sellers, while everyone else didn't really get that added value. So what's left is like the technicalities of selling and licensing and all this stuff. And this is already a solved problem these days. Like if you go with Freemius, you get this whole commercial aspect solved for you out of the box. So I feel that today it's significantly easier to get started. And I would also say that over the years, I observed what are the weaknesses of Envato and tried to solve that through Freemius, exactly for that audience. I actually loved Envato. I still think it's amazing what they built over the years, and created this economy and made it possible for people who are not marketers to make a living. So it was very aligned with the same kind of mission that we had at Freemius. But I think today it's kind of a solved problem. It's pretty easy to do it. There are like structures. We're like 10 years ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me, I want to make sure we get another just sort of broad question for the panel here. So feel free, anyone, to respond. But I think so far what I'm taking away from this conversation is, first of all, start driving traffic to your website. There's no reason not to. It's always a good backup plan to rely on yourself and your own agency, your own abilities. Maybe start selling on your own site. The drop-in commission isn't as scary as I think the drop-in commission seems scary, but when you think about, well, I get 100% of the sales on my website. Excellent point, James. I think I'm getting some action today, but I'm probably not going to start selling my plugin tomorrow. Probably. I guess I'd like to hear from the panel. Can you give me the next 3 to 5 years of what do you think is actually going to happen, and where do you think we're going to be 3 to 5 years from now with ThemeForest and CodeCanyon? And James, maybe I'll start with you if I can put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, we're already starting to see the change. So on the same day that Envato announced that the deal had closed, they also launched their rebrand. Everything that they're doing is showing a shift away from the past and preparing people emotionally for the future. For those of you who may not know, the old logo, the old brand was created by Collis, the former owner. So there's this emotional attachment to the past that exists and is around that past story. Having been involved in acquisitions for a number of years and seeing teams come on board, there's always a shift in power dynamic. We've seen that as well. Very recently, within the last month, even a number of staff from Envato have been made redundant. They've been let go. So another layoff round has happened. So all of this historical value and emotional connection to what Envato was is being stripped away in preparation for just being another business unit of Shutterstock. We're not going to see Shutterstock executives caring at all about the state of authors, the earnings of authors, that old period, those old values of Envato that, when you earn, we earn, or when you grow, we grow, and that whole idea of making a living doing what you love, all of those things that were what Envato was no longer exist. So what you'll be seeing over the next 3 to 5 years is maybe an immediate stripping away of some of those values, but a gradual stripping away of all of those things that made Envato as it gets absorbed into the business of Shutterstock. The priorities will shift. It will be all about elements, and even I'll suspect that at some point elements will become Shutterstock elements, right? And we'll start to see just that merging of those things as they start to realize some of those gains from owning the subscriptions but not needing the infrastructure the same way. What does that mean for Envato Market? I don't know if it's going to be something that is saleable on its own. Envato Market, a single purchase marketplace, doesn't make sense. The creative assets beyond CodeCanyon and ThemeForest are negligible at this point with Envato elements. So if we're talking about ThemeForest and CodeCanyon, keep in mind as well, we've also got other marketplaces that exist. WooCommerce has a marketplace. WordPress.com has a marketplace. So a lot of these things that are happening, there's competitors there. Page builders are taking over themes, right? So theme businesses in general are challenged. These single purpose niche themes. So I think we're really in a space where what made ThemeForest grow, those things aren't there, and I suspect that it'll be harder and harder and harder for the internal Envato team to justify any expense, any product investment, even maintenance investment on Envato Market moving forward. And that's ThemeForest and CodeCanyon.
Oof. Let me inject one quick thing here. We are nearing the end, so if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat. I do see a couple that have popped in already, but if you want to drop a couple more, that'd be great. Did anyone want to respond to that? That was
doom and gloom.
I don't want to say it wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't say doom and gloom, but something dark. Yeah. I feel like I'm watching. Oh no, who's the guy who did the Batman movie? I feel like it's a little bit dark. So
Nolan.
Thank you, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Anyone have a non-Nolan take on ThemeForest or CodeCanyon?
I have some higher level kind of view of the market. I think that what will happen, assuming again, no new resources will go into the marketplaces, etc., it will slowly kind of reduce the amount of inventory out there, because one of the things that happened because of the ease of just uploading things to Envato is that themes and plugins became kind of a commodity, especially themes. We saw, the race to the bottom when it comes to pricing, etc. But now the authors that will survive are those that are capable in transitioning into a mindset of becoming marketers or starting a marketing operation internally in order to be able to, drive that traffic by themselves and so forth. So I think it will significantly cut down a big chunk of the long tail of the sellers and will make the entire market much smaller in terms of inventory, which is actually good for those that will survive that period. So I think overall it will, I hope that this is what will happen, because it's good for everyone, that it will drive prices higher for sellers. It will also come because you need to do marketing right now, so it has extra costs. You need, more people to do that. You need to acquire new skills. So I think the amount of themes and plugins and sellers and creators will go down over the next few years, and the prices will go up because of that. So this is kind of the way I see that happening.
Well, the prices have gone up already, pretty much. I mean, most of the authors have, and we as well. I mean, there are two big groups of the authors, from my observations, and everyone has lifted the prices already. And in terms of changes, I also wanted to add something. I think the changes aren't necessarily always that bad. I mean, sometimes they could be challenging, and challenging could be good. Good in terms of that the stronger companies with structures and resources will live on, will just adapt or shift to something else, and lots of players that are sorry to sound that harsh, or maybe a little from the different perspective, but the other players might not be able to keep the same pace, and they will just shift to something else and leave the room for those who will still be there. Well, you know what I mean.
All right. Anyone else want to jump on this? Or so, all right. So I did see a couple questions come in, so I'd love to ask them to the group here. We are nearing the end. I think probably the one that I think is probably most relevant here is, let's see if I can find it again. So this was for Zafar, from Marcos. So I'll ask the question, and I have a quick note, and then I'll let you answer. How do you approach marketing when you switched to Freemius? And here's my quick note. I am also the host of Plugin.fm, which is a plugin, and our next season is all about marketing your software. So check out Plugin.fm. Obviously, you were going to recommend that, Zafar. I understand that I took the words out of your mouth, but seriously, how do you approach marketing when you switch to the marketplace? Can't do all the marketing for you now. You have to do your own marketing. What are the essential things that you have to do when you want to sell it yourself?
Well, nowadays the marketplace don't do your marketing at all, so you have to do it anyway if you stay on the marketplace, and that's what I do. And since I'm not good at marketing, I don't do much at marketing. Maybe it's because I'm that big already, but it hasn't changed since my switch. So it was about 7 years ago when ThemeForest and CodeCanyon had so much traffic that you don't have to do any marketing. But nowadays, or for a couple of years now, you have to do your own marketing already. And if you don't do it, you may lose some potential of getting more sales. But for me, it's not a difference having it on my own side or on the marketplace. I'm still on the marketplace just to support my legacy buyers or my old customers. So I don't want to pull it completely, and the marketplace still brings me about a quarter, about 25% of my traffic to my site. But it's not 25% of my income anymore. So it's still a good marketing channel, the marketplace. But let's see what's the future of the marketplace. So we can. I have to decide at the later point, maybe. Your mic is off.
There we go. So it seems like there's another question here from Yuri. I guess this is a little bit more broad, and I'll leave this for the panel. What about the future of WordPress itself? The question goes on. There's some stuff about Gutenberg, but essentially, what is the future of WordPress itself? And let me try to embody the question asker here. Should I just, rather than pivoting from Envato to my own website, shouldn't I just throw out which I get, like throw out the current technology stack and, develop the next AI tool or something and get SaaS, startup funding for AI and just get out of WordPress entirely? Is there any, does anyone have any thoughts there?
I think that's probably not necessarily the direction that you want to go. Keep in mind, Envato still powers 43% of the CMS web. So there is a ton of opportunity there. I think the real question is, are you trying to copy what's already being done? And are you looking to just, ride the coattails of all of these other similar products, or are you looking to innovate? That's really where the opportunity lies in WordPress. And so I would encourage you that if you're thinking about throwing in the towel on themes or looking at Gutenberg and going, it's going to solve a lot of the problems, it's not quite there yet. There's still a long way to go for Gutenberg. But perhaps there's opportunity to think, well, how do I work alongside Gutenberg? How do I work alongside full site editor themes and create something that is a little bit different? A good example of that is Ollie WP, which is technically a theme. And who knew that in 2023, 2024, launching a premium theme was something that could still generate the kind of buzz and industry excitement that Ollie WP has. So what they're doing and how they're approaching it is a little bit different. And that's, I think, where authors can really learn lessons. If you want to actually see a great example of how that's going, great design, great onboarding wizard, great tooling, like there's just something there that is hitting designers, developers, marketers well. And so if you're looking for something to emulate, that I think is a direction to go and look at as well. But no, I don't think you need to throw it all out. I don't think AI is going to solve all the problems that everybody thinks it is. It's like eye candy right now, but there's not a lot of substance there for the WordPress ecosystem. The larger the businesses are that are looking at WordPress, the less likely they are to look at AI in that respect and go, hey, yeah, that's what I want. There's too much risk. So yeah, I think trying to look at WordPress and ask the question, how can I innovate? I think that we have a lot of large players right now across a wide variety of functionality in WordPress that have sort of just been able to coast by being first to the market, that are opportunities for disruption. Form building, SEO, analytics, reporting. There's a ton of opportunity in WordPress to disrupt what's already there and come up with new ways of doing the same thing.
If your previous comment was the Christopher Nolan version of Batman, this is like the 60s cartoon version of Batman. It was much more positive and uplifting. So I appreciate seeing both sides there.
I took the hint.
Can I add a little thing?
Please.
So I think I always say you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to come up with a better one and know how to sell it. So like in today's world, we're all in kind of immediate gratitude and, aha moments and all of that. So I feel that it's about, trying to figure out how you are becoming a better, product marketer, starting to build an audience and listening, of course, to your audience and creating that experience that generate that aha moment. And the market is still big enough in the WordPress ecosystem. So even if you capture friction of the market, it can be pretty massive. And speaking a little bit about plugins, like one common mistake that I'm seeing is developers are trying to come up with something new. And it's almost impossible to come up with like something completely new these days. There are like so many products out there. And even if you come up with something new, it's likely going to be very niche, because if it was like a mass market product, then someone else already had that idea. So my kind of tip, if you want to start something new, is actually try to go for a mass market solution. Those big things like backups, SEO, like things that every website actually need, but bring up your own kind of angle, your own edge, capture maybe 1%, 2% of that market, but because every website need that functionality, that 1% will be much greater than that niche solution that you will come up with that from the beginning only addresses a very tiny fraction of the market.
Love that. Yeah, a tiny fraction of 43% of the internet is a lot of sales. So if you can, I'll take 1%. I can retire on 1% of 1% of the sales of SEO analytics of any particular niche in WordPress. If you can get 1% of the sales, you can run a company on that. So agreed on that point. Did anyone else want to add anything? Otherwise, I think we're kind of wrapping up here. We can kind of have some like last minute closing thoughts if you guys want. And then I know we have a slide with some contact information for everyone that was on the panel. I guess, so let me go ahead and I'll start wrapping up a little bit. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you to our panelists. We had a wide variety. Hope we got a good diversity of opinion here. And I think we did. I guess, give us something to be hopeful. Go ahead and say, sign off if you want, but then panelists, but then also just give us like one last, maybe inspirational, like this is the one thing you should do today or one thing you should do tomorrow to prepare for this. So we'll start with you, Vova.
Yeah, I think that the answer is pretty obvious. Go non-exclusive and go with Freemius.
Love it. And let's go for Zafar, and then we'll go down the line.
Yeah, I have to second that. I tried Pedal, I tried Lemon Squeeze, and I ended back at Freemius. And it was the percentage they got, the 5% the market of the share, and in the end it's not 5%. I think Vova can tell you more about that. And it's not 7% at Freemius either, but it's more transparent. And right now I was at 82% on the marketplace, and I'm right now at 88% approximately each month, which I can keep on my price. And that's it. It's not no hidden fees and nothing else. So I can really recommend Freemius at this point.
Oh, if I was to give any bit of advice or hope to authors, it's one of the things I heard so much as I was the engagement lead was fear about the market collapsing, fear about where sales were going, fear that, this was the end. And that fear comes out of a lack of control. And so as you're looking now at the landscape and the reality of where Envato is, where ThemeForest and CodeCanyon are, where WordPress is, rather than be controlled by fear, try to take control of your own destiny. Rather than react to what's happening, come up with a proactive plan to move forward. You can do it. You've already been able to demonstrate your ability to sell, your ability to create, and your ability to do amazing things just by getting onto ThemeForest and CodeCanyon and going through their ridiculous review process. So if you can do that, you can do anything. You've got all the tools you need to succeed. I believe in you. I know you've got this. Go get them.
Okay, I only have to add that you probably have to have more than one plan. Not just one, maybe two or even three, and keep all the doors open, and also keep working. I mean, whatever you decide to do with your business, if it's going to be staying on Envato or not staying on Envato or doing both, you have to keep on working. You cannot just say, hey, everything's bad here, I'm not going to do nothing and just wait for solutions to come up. Nope, that's not how it works. Have to work.
Awesome. Thank you again, panelists, and thank you everyone for listening and tuning in. We hope this was valuable, and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.